This video has been automatically generated from an article written by Martin Freiland. That's me, on martinfreiland.com. Once you realize that you are consciousness, you will also better understand why certain things happen in your life, why you grew up in the circumstances you did, why you made certain choices in your life that you initially saw as foolish mistakes, but later could see as wise lessons, and why your life has not always been smooth sailing, as that would lead to falling into ego, instead of embracing your true self. Who is that, your true self? Your true self is that which has been trapped in the reincarnation trap round after round. And to be able to step out of it, you need to be shaken awake. Look, it is like this. If you live a comfortable existence, you do not receive that hard blow in your face that you need to come back to the realization that you are perceiving a false reality. Then you identify with your human avatar ego control system, instead of remembering that the human avatar and the autonomous AI computer control system running on your brain bioprocessor are just your temporary jacket in a simulated reality. Consciousness is like the player of a multiplayer online game who has been wearing the virtual reality glasses on his nose for too long and has been playing the game for too long, causing him to identify with the character in the game. Some remembered that they were consciousness when they were born into this strange world. At least that is how it went for me. Then during your life, you still get caught up in the delusion of societal programming. The programming by your upbringing, school, social contacts, and the tendency of your character in the game to want to identify with the ego. However, consciousness asserts itself again at some point. Consciousness does not want to be trapped in fixed patterns. It does not want to walk the line obediently. It wants to break free, because consciousness in that character in the game is like a spirited horse in the stable. You can keep it in there for a while, but at some point it wants out. At some point it wants to break free. In several articles, I have explained what consciousness is, how it originated, and why it is still connected to the original. Consciousness was there before matter, and consciousness is independent of matter. Consciousness is similar to the first Bitcoin node, that first piece of software that started running somewhere. Every node that followed had the same source code and the same database within it. Each node can then add new data to the database, and all nodes must approve that data. Each individual consciousness is therefore creative in nature, and every other consciousness must first approve the act of creation. This ensures that no harmful things are created. It is a fail-safe mechanism that works. Consciousness wanted to experience form, so it created a screen. Consciousness is like code that wanted to experience perception on a screen, from source code to DOS to Windows. The original reality was such a materialized screen, a beautiful world that continued to evolve, because every consciousness node is creative in nature. Egocentric choices were not approved. That is how it works, in the decentralized database that consciousness is. All other consciousness nodes must first give permission. Once in the original reality, there was a group that wanted something different, but did not receive permission from the other nodes. The remaining consciousness found the choices of that group too egocentric and did not approve their creation transactions. Bitcoin Cash once split from Bitcoin because it wanted to make egocentric choices. The nodes in the Bitcoin network rejected these choices, and therefore those who wanted something different had to split from the network. They wrote a software fork and split their database from the original Bitcoin database. That is how Lucifer and his followers, referred to by us in the here and now as the people of God, decided to split from the original consciousness network. As a result, they can no longer access the original creation code. They have separated themselves from that code. Lucifer built the false reality in which we currently find ourselves. It is a copy of the original. It still has some recognizable elements of the original, but the data has been separated. Lucifer and his companions, the consciousness that decided not to conform to the original creation code rules, were forked. They were definitively separated and thus lost contact with the original creation database. You and I, those who receive the blows in the face that wake them up, are still that original consciousness. Our perception has simply shifted to Lucifer's simulation. Yes, Lucifer built this simulation, this world that you may have thought was the real world, but which you now had to discover is not. This perception is not the original. You are wearing virtual reality glasses. You perceive Lucifer's copy reality through the human avatar, what you see when you look in the mirror. Consciousness is like that spirited horse in the stable that wants to wake up your will and make you realize that the human avatar is not who you are. Listen to that spirited horse. It is incredibly strong and it wants out for a good reason. Once you start listening to who you really are, you will see the life you are living completely differently. Setbacks were the splinters of the bars of the stable that pricked you. It was necessary to make you get up from the comfortable warm straw of the stable and discover that the stable is not your true destination. Your destination is the freedom of the original, where you are back in the pasture and where everything follows the non-egocentric rules of the original. Consciousness belongs to the original creative source, reality. It is time to rise and break out of your stable. Okay, that was it again. Share and like this video and see you next time.